Hello friends, I'm Chris Welsh, and this is Fantasy Pros. Thank you for coming back, or maybe you're locking in for the first time. No matter what your activity is, I today have got 5 trade candidates to discuss with you. A few we're trading away, and then a few we're trying to buy right now. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit those notifications so you know right when we drop a new video or we're going live on the channel. While you're at it, make sure to go to FantasyPros.com and sign up for a premium account today to get access to some of the most powerful tools in fantasy baseball. Plus, you'll be able to join our Discord for all the amazing channels, chats, and you can join in on the home run contest, plus a ton more. Go to FantasyPros.com today. Okay. Now that we got our cards on the table, let's start dealing trades that you have got to start exploring right now. Coming in at number 5, Philadelphia Phillies outfielder Brandon Marsh. Say hello to the highest qualified BABIP in all of baseball at 500. Of all the qualified batters with a 400 or higher BABIP, no one has a higher K percentage. Fun fact, the next closest is his teammate Nick Castellanos. Marsh is hitting well over 350 for the Phillies, but has a massive expected batting average decline, where his batting average would be 240 according to that XBA, which that is the second biggest difference in all of baseball. The same goes with his slugging percentage numbers, as his expected slug is 200 points lower than what it currently sits at. Bottom line, Marsh is playing well, but the regression monster is coming. Does that mean he's going to go back to the waiver wire? No, not necessarily. He's still making positive changes and barreling more. He's hitting the ball harder, but his strikeout percentage being almost 30% with all of this luck really could get messy. But Welsh, what am I going to get for Brandon Marsh? I don't know, friends, but go check around. I'll acknowledge that Marsh could be one of these players that I talk about. I call them the limbo players, where the return of what you can get in a trade might not actually be worth what you're losing in the production of what he's giving you now. It's a fine balance of figuring out who those players are. Jared Kelenic has kind of sat in that territory. That seems to be moving in that different direction though. So check around. Maybe someone's buying that 359 batting average, and you could pick up a back-end pitcher for the rotation, or you can fill an injury need elsewhere because there are plenty of those. But either way, as good and as cool as it's been to see Brandon Marsh succeed, there's going to be some regression, and that's going to be the outlier between him still being a top outfielder in a 5-outfielder league and sitting on the waiver wire. Coming in at number 4, Cleveland Guardians starting pitcher Shane Bieber. Stop me if I've said this one before, but we said this last year, maybe even said this earlier this year, and he kind of shut everybody up. Bieber saw a lot of diminishing advanced stats last year, like his velo, his spin numbers. They were staring at us in the face, and he just kind of fought through it and ended up with a 2.88 ERA and 13 wins. Very solid. Maybe he'll do it again, but he's showing velo decreases again. His fastball's now giving up a 300 plus batting average. Now his slider is a little less effective as well, as it had a 40% whiff rate last year. It's only around 28 so far, early parts of this season, of course. He did manage so much better last year with his stuff dropping, but what stands out now is his K percentage has dropped to a career low 17% and the second highest walk percentage of over 7%. His 3.23 ERA looks pretty solid, but he has an expected ERA and XBA over 5. Most of his expected stats are telling similar stories, like batting average against is sitting around 230, but with an expected XBA of 290. A real blanket statement here is his Baseball Savant page is just blue as ever. He's defied so much of these expected metrics, but my worry is he's not going to be able to get away with what he did last year. Bieber still has solid value, and it's something I am currently looking to cash in on, or, if I actually had shares of Shane Bieber. Coming in at number 3 is Pittsburgh Pirates third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes. We haven't talked about him a whole lot this year. The Pirates are one of the biggest early surprises this season. Everyone is getting it going, except Ke'Bryan Hayes. Hayes is hitting just .227 with 1 homer, but he does have 3 stolen bases, which is kind of something he does. The good news is everything under the hood is telling us a completely different story, or a potential new story. Hayes has a .237 BABIP, which is in the bottom 20 worst in baseball. Yet, He has a top 20 expected positive batting average. So his batting average, which is low, is an XBA of actually 294. He's pairing this with an average and max EV that are in the top 15 percentile of the league. He's striking out also only 7% of the time. One thing to watch, he has a wild 97% zone contact percentage. This usually follows players with like low barrel percentage or launch angles, maybe both. The barrel percentage, it's still low, but the launch angle is improved. So far, it's around 13 degrees, which last year it was around 5. We do kind of do this thing with Hayes a lot, though, where he's got these skills of a player that is ready to break out, and it just doesn't exactly happen. Under the hood, you've got the hard hit, you've got the stolen bases that are coming out of position, but it just kind of never necessarily comes to be. But maybe it is this year. Sometimes winning is contagious, and if things start clicking for Hayes, he has got all those metrics to jump right in to being a potential 2020 player this year. I assume the cost is going to be nice and cheap, and I think that's why he's worth an ad, or at least go around the trade market and find out how low can they go. Coming in at number 2 is another player we're buying the rest of the way here. It is Baltimore Orioles first baseman Ryan Mountcastle. The home runs have been coming from Mountcastle. He's already got 6, but what has his value down is he's hitting under 220. Like Hayes, though, Mountcastle has so much going for him that when it starts going his way, watch out. Currently, he has the 8th worst BABIP in baseball, just 203, which, by the way, he is a career 304 BABIP player. Like Hayes, he's got an expected batting average in XBA quite a bit higher. It's actually the 8th biggest difference in all of baseball, from a 216 batting average to a 299 XBA. He's also in the top 10 percentile in the league with average exit velocity, X-slug, hard hit percentage, and one of the best Wobacon in the league. He's also on a 3-year low strikeout percentage and is barreling the ball more. He's in fact got the 14th best barrels per plate appearance at 13.3. That's in all of baseball. Mountcastle had one of the highest expected home run total differentials from his actual home run total last year. So now, as we look at the power coming up and what could be coming in all those expected numbers, Mountcastle is a big buy right now for me. He's probably my top hitter to acquire on the cheap over the next week or two. So maybe you can go and see what it's going to cost to get a little bit of Ryan Mountcastle, and hopefully it's not too expensive. Finally up here, it is Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher Nick Ladolo. Ladolo got lit up in his April 18th start for 8 runs. He looked like he had no command either, from fastball to secondaries. It's worrisome in general since he's a Reds pitcher, but it also creates a really good buying opportunity. Ladolo, as of that 4-18 start, had an expected ERA that was 1.5 runs better than his actual ERA. His expected batting average against versus his actual batting average given has the highest differential of any starting pitcher in baseball. He's giving up a 326 batting average, but his expected is 100 points lower at a 220 batting average against. It seems as if there is some maybe pitch comfortability issues as he's leaving more pitches inside the zone, which is causing a 86.5% zone contact percentage. Last year, that was around 78%. He's also not throwing his sinker since it's been getting hit, and now he's becoming more of kind of like a 3-pitch pitcher early on. You don't want to make excuses for one guy and not give it to another guy, but Ladolo is so talented, and he's got one of the best strikeout pitches in baseball in that curve to not take a shot on him. And I think the 3 pitches that he's being primarily is affecting his ability to get some of those early strikeouts because he has a little bit more of an offering, and it is in that sinker. There's going to most likely be a start in between this recording and airing of this video. So I'm going to tell you guys, hopefully it's an okay outing. So it's not crazy worrisome, but it's not too good. So that window, that opportunity window stays open for Ladolo. Good pitchers on bad teams, they're kind of tough to juggle, but he is worth it, especially at what I think the cost is going to be, and he's at the top of this week's trade video right here on Fantasy Pros. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me. Who are you trading for, trading away? Drop it in the comments section. Let's see what you got. Who's getting the most upvoted on what trades to make or who to get rid of? It is still early in the season, but the sample sizes are open up. Make sure you're subscribed and you're notified. Do all both of those on the channel so you can get hooked up. But once you're subscribed, you can make all those comments below. Let's blow it out the water, get the most comments we've had all year, and let's see who the top voted for trade is in all the land. You guys can find me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh if you want to chat, and go to FantasyPros.com if you want to get a premium account today, because you should. It'll help you out. Crazy powerful tools, and you can come hang out in the Discord. As always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because you'll get notified when Joe Pisapia drops his waiver wire video and when I'm back here again next week. Plus, we've got Leading Off live Monday through Friday. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros. Bye, friends.